Three teams from the Northwest Conference saw the postseason in 2003. There could very well be 4 in the playoffs this fall. In fact, it was nearly 4 last season. Glen Lake was just a win short of 6. Of course, the one team that no one could beat in the regular season was the Suttons Bay Norsemen.
I think we have a solid team coming back, but it's to go undefeated. It's a tough task.
Suttons Bay hasn't lost more than 3 games in each of the last 4 seasons. That could hold up with a speedy, experienced backfield, plus some extra beef on the front line.
We're used to having a 180-pound average on the line of scrimmage, and yeah, we might beef that up to about 200 this year. So I guess that'd be considered big for us.
Hosting the Harbor Springs Rams. We'll pick it up the first quarter. Norseman's ball there in red. Quarterback Matt Schluter handing it off to Juan Gillian. He's well disguised to the Sea of Jerseys, and he needs the help. He makes his way through the defense. He's going to find the end zone for the touchdown. The extra point was good. It was 7-0. Norseman on the Rams 42. Schluter hands off to Kyle Corson. He takes cue from the defense's namesake. Rams through. He finally gets taken down at the 7-yard line. Very next play, Elliot Gallagher gets the handoff, tumbles into the end zone for the 6. Extra point, no good there. Second quarter, we pick it up now. Schluter tries to make the first down. Going to the air, but it's intercepted. Guy in the wrong uniform got it. Rams would get 2 of these, but the defense would deny them access to the Norseman territory for the entire first half. Suttons Bay would hold the opposition scoreless for the whole game. They get the shutout win over Harbor Springs, 26-0.
Fired up right there, first quarter. Juan Carlos Guillen. That is the best name I've heard this week. Scampering for the nice positive yardage. Oh, nice cut back there. Then a couple of plays later, Juan Carlos Guillen gonna take it up the gut, and the little guy gonna dart outside, and oh, he's smelling end zone there. Suttons Bay up 7-zip, and Harbor Springs struggling against that stingy Suttons Bay defense, and the Northmen gonna put a clamp on this one. Ooh, nice hit there. All right, Elliot Gallagher is going to be the star on this play. He's going to take the handoff there, and number 41 going to take a hit and score. Suttons Bay up 13-zip. They win 26-0. Kyle Corson gets 111 yards rushing, and he finds the end zone as well. Now, more scores from Northern Michigan. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 4th week of the Football Frenzy. We start things off in the competitive Northwest Conference.
Last year, Frankfort suffered their only loss of the regular season to Suttons Bay. The Norsemen went on to win their first conference title, and they're ready to defend that title tonight. Our Jason Geiser was at the Frankfort-Suttons Bay game and joins us live. Jason, how was that battle?
Oh, it was a good one, guys. Like you said, a whole lot riding on this line. Both these teams undefeated coming in and looking for that inside track to this year's Northwest Conference crown, but also a measure of revenge on the line for Frankfort, as last year they got beat at their home field for the first time ever by a Suttons Bay team. This time around, it was the Bay's turn to take care of their turf. Frankfort tries to get comfortable in that house from the start. After Suttons Bay's first possession, a punt to Greg Walton. Frankfort's star running back playing some good special teams here. He takes it into Suttons Bay territory for the Panthers' high-powered offense to take over. However, the Norseman D rises to the occasion. Andrew Dalzell, the sack on 4th and 6. We're scoreless, and we stay that way into the 3rd quarter. Frankfort forced a punt on 4th down, but oh, those tricky Panthers running the fake punt for the 2nd week in a row. Brady Leotard taking it to the house, make it 7-0 Panthers in the 3rd.
It's a big part of us. We practice a lot of special teams, and we've been fortunate because they paid off for us. And, you know, if you can cash in on a big play, then, you know, we win a game like this.
The Panthers eat up almost all the 4th quarter with their running game, but Suttons Bay's defense holds and gives the Norse one more shot late in the 4th. However, Matt Schluter forced out of the pocket, looking deep and letting go, but Brad Nostrand is there for Frankfort. Hook, slide, and run out the clock. The Panthers win a nail-biter in Suttons Bay, 7-0.
Football this year is just my life. I'm a senior, this is it. And Suttons Bay was the only team to beat us last year, and I'm glad we got us stuck in back.
So Frankfort takes a step forward in that chase for a conference crown. However, we all know there is no easy road through the Northwest Conference. Next week, Frankfort on the road again at Kingsley. The Stags also undefeated heading into tonight. To find out if they still are, we'll go back to the studio to Jerome and Erica. Guys?
All right, guys, good work. And then there were two, as guys
head to Suttons Bay, a key Northwest Conference battle pairing a couple of unbeaten teams. Aaron Mills live in Suttons Bay with a recap of what happened between the host Norsemen and the Frankfort Panthers.
Yeah, that's right, Dan. Both teams undefeated. Yeah, both teams with very high-powered offenses, of course. But during overtime pregame earlier today, we said that tonight's contest could very well come down to the defenses, and that's exactly what we saw here in Suttons Bay. Norseman defense coming in very stingy, holding opponents to just over 8 points per contest. Andrew Dalzell, little quarterback sack, forces Frankfort to turn it over on downs early in the first. The Panthers D giving up an average of 23 points a game, but they kept Suttons Bay in check. Kyle Corson, nothing doing. Then sophomore Connor McHugh reads the screen and takes down quarterback Matt Schluter in the backfield, finishing off a 0-0 stalemate at the half. But something's got to give, and eventually it does. With under a minute left in the third quarter, Frankfort back to punt, and instead they run a fake to Brady Leotard. 52 yards untouched into the end zone. Panthers on the board at 7-0. Frankfort, though, dominates possession through the final quarter until they get stuffed on a 4th and short late, giving the Bay one last chance to mount a comeback. Just over a minute left. Matt Schluter going to look around, then going to throw deep. Instead, gets picked by Brad Nostrand, fittingly ending this game with a defensive stop. And Frankfort escapes Suttons Bay with a win, 7-0.
We didn't put any points on the board on offense, but we controlled the clock and handled the ball almost the whole second half, and that was huge for us. Defense played the best we've played in years, I think. We got after it, and we stoned them on defense, and then the big play on the punt. So, you know, this is a great football game. Take nothing away from Suttons Bay. They got a heck of a team, and they played a great effort tonight. Did a great job against us.
So Frankfort avenges last year's 33-0 loss to Suttons Bay. Now they're one of the two teams in the driver's seat in this Northwest Conference, along with the team they're going to play next week, Kingsley. So a very tough game next week as well for the Panthers. But live in Suttons Bay, I'm Aaron Mills for Overtime on the Road.
Tonight, Suttons Bay all over Manton, 60-0.
I know, we love the guy here. All right, keeping with the Northwest theme, Manton and Suttons Bay and the Norse looking to bounce back from last week's conference loss. The Rangers going for the first win versus Suttons Bay in 5 years, and they're still looking. Suttons Bay had it going tonight. Jimmy Stewart takes the handoff, he breaks open, and the Norse break this one wide open. Not much cheering for the Rangers tonight. Suttons Bay scores 60 for the first time in 12 years. Manton now 2-3 on the year.
One other score for you tonight. Suttons Bay all over Glen Lake. Your final is 35-7. John, the Northwest Conference always competitive, as is the Jack.
Northwest Conference. Two schools in the middle of the conference, Suttons Bay at Glen Lake, and what a game this was for the Norsemen. Kyle Corson taking the handoff and busting up the gut. Look at him, eluding defenders there and scoring. Then the Lakers would come back. Weston Buchan, only a sophomore. And look at the big fella, gonna turn the corner, get the shoulders squared and run 82 yards for the score. Suttons Bay, though, they would come back. They would not let up tonight. Maybe the best name in Suttons Bay, Lakota Raphael scores. And the nail in the coffin, Elliot Gallagher. He's going to do some damage here. And Suttons Bay, they win by the score of 35-7. They are now 5-1 on the year. All right, some Western
Tonight's game in Suttons Bay may have been just setting the table for another in the postseason. The Norsemen and Kingsley virtual locked for the Division VI playoffs. In fact, tonight's contest would lock one of them in already. Second quarter, Norseman hand off to Elliot Gallagher, who goes to the far outside, pushing the Norseman deep into the Stags' territory, and that was enough to get Suttons Bay going. Lakota Raphael pops into the end zone, and the Norsemen are on the board. Suttons Bay using the momentum. Jimmy Stewart on the run. Merry Christmas, you old building and loan, Jimmy Stewart. Dragged down just short. Elliot Gallagher gets the ball next and pounds it in for another touchdown. Suttons Bay 35-13 over Kingsley.
All right, a ton on the line tonight in Suttons Bay. The Norsemen hosting Kingsley in the Little Brown Jug game. Joe Trudeau's Norse won the jug last year, but were knocked out of the playoffs by old buddy Tim Woer and the Stags. Both teams 5-1 on the year, so the winner of this one qualifies for this year's postseason. And the home field advantage working in the first. Jimmy Stewart breaks through the line, and Jimmy is going to rumble inside the 5-yard line. Then it's the big boy, Elliot Gallagher. He's going to punch it in. And that Gallagher, he is put together. And then more from the junior running back. Gallagher this time a little bit farther out. Look at it. He's going to shift outside, then shift back inside. He looks like Rob Lytle back in the old Go Blue days down in Ann Arbor. He scores there. Suttons Bay gets a big lead, and they win 35-13. They keep the Little Brown Jug for another year, and they qualify for the state playoffs as well.
Sure, it's always a big game when we play each other, and it's been going back and forth the last several years, and they're always a very well-prepared, tough team to beat, so you always feel good when you can knock them off.
Jackson, Suttons Bay strong as usual, 60-7 over Everett.
Corbin, Kyle Corbin, is that correct? And he scores there on the long run, and then Everett on the ensuing kickoff. Mr. Miller, look at him go. And he is going to get down inside the 5-yard line, but the Wildcats, they can't punch it in. Suttons Bay cruises in this one. It was over early, and they win by the score of 60-7. Manistee at Glen Lake tonight.
45-7. Suttons Bay, 2 touchdowns better than North Muskegon, 34-20.
Region 1, District 2. Battle-tested Boyne City visiting 8-1 Suttons Bay, who's qualified for a 5th straight year. And the Stags of Kingsley venture to Leroy Pine River of the Bucks 8-1 and out of the Highland Conference.
Brown Jug. We've got a playoff preview live from Suttons Bay where the Norse host their arch rivals from Kingsley. That's next in sports.
Good evening, everyone. The first week of the high school football playoffs, and we start with a Northwest Conference matchup. We have Jason Geiser in Suttons Bay as the Norsemen play a school they beat earlier this month, Kingsley, the Stags. Jason, take it away.
Jerome, we really couldn't have scripted it any better in round 1 of the high school football playoffs. These two teams, of course, conference rivals. They play for the Little Brown Jug every year, a game that Suttons Bay won this year in convincing fashion, 35-13 just 3 weeks ago. However, you don't have to look too far back to know that might not mean anything. You see, last year, the Norsemen also won the Jug, only to meet Kingsley in the first round of the playoffs and lose to the Stags. It's one of those rare occasions when both teams can play the revenge card.
Because, unfortunately, they did really take it to us last time, and I'm sure that's in a little bit of the back of our minds of some of our kids. So it's very important that we get off to a great start and really play well in the first quarter. They may be looking for revenge, I guess, from this year, but we're still looking for a little bit from last year yet too, playoff-wise. So, it really doesn't matter who we play. I mean, you talk about you don't really like to play your conference schools in the first round, but you don't have any control over that. So whenever the schedule comes out, you got to play who you're going to play.
That's exactly correct from Joe Trudeau, even though it is a little bittersweet this time around. Coach Trudeau and Coach were good friends who go way back together, and they were happy on Sunday night when the original pairings came out and saw their two teams weren't going to have to face each other in the first round. However, that turned out to be a mistake, and by Monday morning, they knew it was going to be one of the friends going home after round 1. Jerome, we'll have all the highlights from a great one here in Suttons Bay tonight, live in the Football Frenzy. For now, I'm Jason Geiser, live in Suttons Bay.
All right, guys, good work as always.
Overtime.
All right,
I'm Brian Lawson.
And I'm John McGowan, and to borrow the words of a baseball icon, it's like deja vu all over again. The Stags and the Norsemen meet for the second time this season. Aaron Mills is live in Suttons Bay to kick off our coverage. Aaron?
That's right, John. Flashback to 2003. Suttons Bay 9-0 during the regular season. They lost to Kingsley here in the playoffs. Now this season, Suttons Bay 8-1, beat Kingsley in the regular season here in the first round against the playoffs against those same Kingsley Stags, but hoping for a different ending. Kingsley going to start with the ball, but on their first possession, they nearly give it away. Drew Wise fumbles the ball. Luckily, Scotty Ostrander falls on it, preserving a drive that will result in a triple try off the foot of trusty Kyle Steed. 3-0 Kingsley. Same score early second. Stags set up on 1st and goal. Luke McManus, touchdown, and just like that, it's 10-0 Kingsley. So the Norsemen need to reverse their fortunes, and they do with, well, a reverse. J.C. Guillen to Jimmy Stewart. 11-yard touchdown is good. PAT, however, is not, and we hit the break at 10-6. Third quarter, Bay back on the doorstep, and there's Jimmy Stewart again, making it a wonderful life for the Norse, up 13-10. The Suttons Bay D holds strong, then the offense takes no time scoring again. This time it's Elliot Gallagher going 21 yards to make it 20-10 Suttons Bay. Coach Rohr needing a spark, starts to run the single wing, which means no quarterback, which means no problem for Andrew Wise, taking the snap and scoring 6 to make it a 4-point game. Stags then roll the dice to go for 2, but this time Wise gonna come up a yard short. Deja vu all over again. It is not. Suttons Bay's moving on 20-16.
Anytime you beat Kingsley, they have such a quality football program. You feel great about it, and to get them twice in 1 year. After last year, what happened, I know we, our seniors especially, did not want to go out like that again, and they just fought and fought and fought all night long until they got it done.
So Suttons Bay does their best Red Sox impression, just like earlier this week, and reverses the curse from a year ago against Kingsley. Now, to talk about how close this game was, a 4-point game, but overall in the series, things close as well, as close as you can get. 38 meetings between these two schools. The total wins for both sides now at 19 apiece. Now for a look to see who Suttons Bay is going to be playing in the next round, let's go ahead and send it back to the students.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Football Frenzy. We start off with a gruesome Northwest Conference rivalry that threw an unexpected twist into week 1 of the postseason.
Right, Erica. On Monday, Suttons Bay discovered an error by the MHSAA that switched their original matchup from Boyne City to conference rival Kingsley. Jason Geiser, who probably had it all figured out way back on Sunday, joins us live now from Suttons Bay with more. Geiser, you knew about that way.
So it's one of those rare opportunities for both teams to be out for revenge. What do I mean? Well, I mean Kingsley came into this place 3 weeks ago and got pasted 35-13 at the hands of the Norse. The Stags looking to right that wrong. However, the Norse hosted last year's playoff game, first rounder with Kingsley, and got beat them. Both teams hungry to come out on top against their old Little Brown Jug rivals.
We deserve it! We deserve it!
The Stags and Norse meeting twice in a year for the second straight year. Another good one in this rivalry. Second quarter, Luke McManus plunging in from 5 yards out. Kingsley's got a 10-0 lead. The Bay would answer on their very next possession, however. Reverse. J.C. Guillen to Jimmy Stewart. Stewart takes it 11 yards for the score. 10-6 Kingsley on top, but Suttons Bay drumming up momentum heading to the half. Still 10-6 in the second half. Kingsley tries to take that mo back. Caleb Nickerson coming in with a heads-up play, stripping the ball and heading the other way. Kingsley, though, would not be able to convert on that drive. Suttons Bay does. Where's Jimmy Stewart? Jimmy Stewart's in the end zone. The Norse go up 13-10 over the Stags, and they add to it. Fourth quarter, Elliot Gallagher, a great run to the outside. 21 yards later, he crosses the plane. Suttons Bay goes up 20-10. Kingsley now with a 10-point deficit. So Tim Werr gets creative, running the single wing offense, direct snap to Drew Wise. Touchdown Kingsley. They get within 20-16. On the next kickoff, they go on sides. However, the ball only rolls 9 yards before it touches a Stag. That means Suttons Bay takes over. The Norse would not give it back. Able to run out the clock on a 20-16 first-round playoff win. Joe Trudeau victorious. Work.
To get them twice in 1 year. After last year, what happened, I know we, our seniors especially, did not want to go out like that again, and they just fought and fought and fought all night long until they got it done.
I was thinking about that all night. I mean, we came out flat, but like we got the ball in the second half, and we had to do something with it.
Coach Trudeau said it in the paper today, the team that makes the fewest mistakes in a big game is going to win the football game. And you know, when you got a team down 10-0, you got to take advantage.
Is there anybody in this one that's satisfied with it?
No. Those two old friends will tell you they would rather not face each other at all during the playoffs, but because of that scheduling snafu, it had to be done right here in the first round. Suttons Bay victorious, moving on one step closer to the Dome, and Because of that scheduling snafu, they fell to a 2 seed, which means they might not be at home in the second round. However, good news for the Norse, they will be right here next week. Erica and Jerome are going to tell you why right now, guys.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Great job. Now let's take a look.
And we started the show with the Ramblers of McBain. We'll begin the second block with the Ramblers of Boyne City in Suttons Bay to face the Norsemen. Coming up next on Double Overtime. It turns out the original district pairings weren't necessarily wrong in Division 6. They were just off by a week. Before a seeding correction, Boyne and Suttons Bay were supposed to meet in round 1. This must have been a game of destiny. Two teams scoreless in the first half, but early in the third quarter, the Norsemen wake up. This excellent fake sent running back Jimmy Stewart. Well, that's God. First score for Suttons Bay, first score of the game. And then the Norsemen take a chance on the onside kick, pop it up, and they're going to get it back. Kyle Corson falling on it. That sets up this power run by Elliot Gallagher. Where is the sledge-o-matic Gallagher? He's smashing watermelons. Stays on his feet, gets into the end zone. Not a lot of love for Boyne City tonight. Grant Amel gets this pass picked off by Kyle Corson, the second time we've heard that name in these highlights. And then finally, Juan Guillen in the fourth, going to move on to payday. Suttons Bay going to move on to the next round, 25-7. And who will they get? Well, they will get Negaunee, 18-14 over Iron Mountain. That game will be played in the Uperdome.
All right, a D6 district title on the line tonight in Suttons Bay. The Ramblers of Boyne City in town. The first ever meeting between the schools. Scoreless first half, but first possession in the second. Jimmy Stewart takes the handoff and races 39 yards for the score. PAT block 6-zip. On the ensuing kickoff, the wind gets a hold of it, and the Norsemen jump on it. Kyle Corson hustling down, and a few plays later, the Norse give it to the junior, Elliot Gallagher, in the workhorse. The big fella sheds a couple of tacklers, still on his feet, eludes a defender, and scores. And that helps Boyne City to their season-ending loss. 25-7 the final. The Ramblers finish 7-4. Suttons Bay gets win number 10. That's a school record. They'll play Negaunee next week. Coach Trudeau, pretty happy right now.
Well, it feels pretty good. It's the first time in school history we've gotten this far, so we're pretty proud right now, but we're not going to be satisfied. We want to keep it going.
And the Norsemen go up there to play Negaunee, which is 11-0. That'll be the toughest win a Northern Michigan team has to make this weekend. It's a 5 or 6 hour drive, and Negaunee has to go about 40 minutes.
Let's take it to Ryan Bell now. Suttons Bay playing in the Uperdome tomorrow, and he's got to look ahead to that game. Ryan.
Oh, Brian, tomorrow we may want to call them masked avengers instead of the Norsemen. For the third time, Suttons Bay will be looking to avenge a playoff loss. They've done it against Whittemore, Prescott, and Kingsley. Tomorrow, they're hoping for a three-peat. In 2002, Suttons Bay and Negaunee met up at the Uperdome for a district final game. Miners and Norsemen were tied at 6s at the end of the first half, but it was the Norsemen who dug themselves into a second-half hole. Negaunee ended up pulling out a 20-6 win. Coach Trudeau says the key to a win this year is staying in the game all 48 minutes.
They don't beat themselves, so you're going to have to really find a weakness in their game, which is really difficult to do. But you know it's going to be a battle all night long, and you got to try and stay in the football game and see if you can win it at the end.
The Norsemen and Miners play tomorrow at 2. Millsy will have highlights tomorrow at 11. For Sports Extra, I'm Ryan Bell.
2 o'clock, Suttons Bay will play Negaunee for a regional title in Division 6. The Miners unbeaten at 11-0, while Suttons Bay has lost just once this year. The Norsemen varsity left for the Superior Dome early this morning. The junior varsity players called up for the playoffs hit the road separately later. Our Erica Morehouse has more on one of those junior varsity players who's hit a high note on the field this year.
Jerome, it's a postseason ritual for most junior varsity players to suit up and roam the sidelines to support the varsity. Chip Slack made it through his first season on the Suttons Bay JV and is doing just that. Except he actually sees some action on the field, and you might say he marches to the beat of a different drummer. Speed and quickness are of the essence for freshman defensive end Chip Slack.
I normally leave it 3 minutes till halftime.
3 minutes, just enough time to suit up, tune up, and hit the field.
Get in line and put my band sweatshirt on and just march in my pads.
Halftime is music to Chip's ears. There's no game break for this Norseman. He pulls double duty on game nights, supporting his team and his trumpet.
We've had other kids that have done it before, though. Even one time we had a varsity kid that would do that during on homecoming. and one of them that actually directed the man on homecoming in his uniform. So when a kid has different talents, you like to let him use them.
Practice room by day, practice field by night. Both activities have struck a chord with the Norse's tackling trumpeter.
I've just always wanted to be in the band, and it's a lot of fun to play music, and I've always wanted to try football, and this was one of the years that I wanted to try them.
Chip and his family are heading up to Marquette tonight to man the sidelines for tomorrow's game, the Superior Dome. And just in case you're wondering, we did spot Chip's trumpet in the back of his car. For 7 and 4 Sports, I'm Erica Morehouse.
All right, good work, Morehouse.
One of the best games of the day was Suttons Bay and Negaunee in a playoff rematch 2 years removed. Second quarter, Suttons Bay trailing 6-love. Well, not anymore. Jimmy Stewart going to give the Norsemen a 7-6 advantage. Suttons Bay would lead by 9 going into the third when Negaunee wakes back up. Alex Alt's second effort cuts the lead down to 1. The Bay ready for a rebuttal of their own. Matt Schluter looking for Kyle Corson. That spreads the Norse lead back out to 7. Negaunee, though, going to come back in the fourth. Corey Jandron going to bring the Miners back to within just 1, but that would be as close as they get. Suttons Bay avenges its loss from the Miners from 2 years ago. They're headed to the semifinals 21-20.
I couldn't be more proud, to be honest with you. These guys fought so hard tonight. Team that, you know, supposedly they were going to beat us. You look on them live, they're going to beat us by 20, 30 points, and to come out here and pull off the upset, and that's what it was. Our kids just deserve all the credit. It was great.
Up next for the Norsemen, Reese, who edged Whittemore Prescott 28-24 today. The semifinal will be next Saturday with the time and location still to be determined.
The Silver Dome in Division 6 today. Suttons Bay against Negaunee in the Superior Dome up in Marquette. The Miners undefeated, 11-0. Norsemen 10-1. Jimmy Stewart with the score here to tie it up. The 2-point conversion gives Suttons Bay an 8-6 lead. Juan Carlos Guillen takes the handoff here, and JC going to sprint down the right side. 72 yards for the score, and Suttons Bay is looking good. More Norseman action in the third. Matt Schluter passes to Kyle Corson for the score, 21-15 there. And the Norse hold off the Miners and win the D6 regional title, 21-20. It's the first regional crown in school history.
You can see it was extremely evenly matched. That was one of the best high school football games I've ever been a part of. Talking about two teams just battling and battling, and you know, we made one more play than they did. That's what it amounted to.
Coach Trudeau's Norse now returns south of the bridge for his Saturday semifinal date with Reese. Switching to high school football, Suttons Bay hit the practice field hard today, preparing for their first state semifinal in school history. Last weekend, the Norse upset UP powerhouse Negaunee 21-20 in the regionals, but they're not the only ones coming away with close calls, excuse me. The Bay's next opponent, the Reese Rockets, have also gone down to the wire.
They pulled that game out when they were down with 3 minutes to go, and they came back and won the game at the end of the game with 9 seconds to go. So obviously they're on a high right now, and they're on a roll too. And you know, same as us. And one of us is going to have to unfortunately come to an end on Saturday.
We've seen a couple tapes. I don't know. It's hard to say. You can't say what a team's like because of the tapes, because everybody thought Negaunee was going to be the better team, and we ended up winning. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
And looking at their matchup on Saturday, the Norse and the Rockets of Reese, 12:30 at Ferris State University. The final there is Friday the 26th at 5 p.m. And take a Good evening, sports fans. The state football semifinals tomorrow. Suttons Bay squeezed in one more practice today before leaving for Big Rapids tomorrow morning. They're going up against a Reese team led by sophomore quarterback Corbin Oldenburg, who pulled out a regional victory last week on a last-second touchdown pass. It looked like he was going to spike it with like 10 seconds left and then fake the defense out, kind of like Marino did against the Jets about 10, 12 years ago. Suttons Bay 11-1 on the year, while the Rockets, winners of 6 straight, are 9-3. Coach Joe Trudeau says Oldenburg will be a big-time target on Saturday.
He didn't play like a sophomore on tape. He really looks like a real mature kid and makes very good decisions for a young kid. So, yeah, hopefully we can get to him and fluster him a little bit. That is, you know, it's part of our game plan. Hopefully to get to him and fluster him a little bit.
All right, just like also exploring some uncharted territory. The Norsemen are riding an 8-game winning streak heading into this week's state semifinals. The streak includes their first ever regional title, a 21-20 win over Negaunee last Saturday.
we have accomplished some of our goals already, and you know, on one hand, you'd think, well, this is great. We went this far, but on the other hand, you know, I ask them every day at the end of the game, after every game we've won, are you satisfied now? And they just, nope, they're not satisfied yet.
Always get a little greedy this time of year. Okay. Now 11-1 on the season. Suttons Bay will face the 9-3 Reese Rockets. Norsemen hit Top Taggart Field in Big Rapids Saturday at 12:30. Manly Beasts of...
Good work, Geyser. The Norsemen of Sutton Bay are almost 12 hours away from their first state semifinal appearance in school history. They'll face the Reese Rockets at Ferris State tomorrow at 12:30. The Rockets are led by sophomore quarterback and rely heavily on their running game. Coach Joe Trudeau says slowing down both will be key.
Their tailback is an outstanding football player, and you have to stop him. The offense goes through him. He's going to touch the ball 20 plus times, and we've got to shut him down or at least contain him. And then we have to be able to prevent the big plays. They've been living off big plays a lot, big plays in the passing game and big runs by this tailback. So we've got to, there are focal points to stop those two kids.
And looking at the matchups on Saturday, Suttons Bay in their first semifinal ever, 12:30 the kickoff there. The final is Friday the 26th at 5 p.m. And taking a look at the Newberry game Saturday. Sports fans, Suttons Bay made their debut in the state semifinals against the Reese Rockets today down in Big Rapids. Both teams coming away with close calls last weekend in the regionals, but this time around the Norse were looking to leave Reese in pieces. Erica Morehouse has more from Big Rapids.
Suttons Bay head coach Joe Trudeau had two keys heading into today's Division VI state semifinal game. The first, stop the Reese running attack. The second, stop their sophomore quarterback. The Norsemen did both, and then some. Norse fans out in full force for their first trip to the state semis, and their team was playing like it had been there many times before. Kyle Corson picks off sophomore quarterback Corbin Oldenburg at their own 42-yard line, and just 5 plays later, they find pay dirt. Elliot Gallagher is in for the score, 6-0 Suttons Bay. Into the second quarter from midfield, the senior quarterback, Matt Schluter, he airs it out to Jimmy Stewart. Just about the 20-yard line, he is wide open. A 2-point conversion makes it 14-0. The Norse lead by 2 touches at the break. Into the second half, third quarter action, Reese Rockets, they fire up. Just down by a score, Jason Bierlein carries it 1 yard up the middle. We're tied at 14s. Into the fourth quarter, Schluter drops back for Jonathan Weber. The soft fingertip catch in the end zone. A 2-point conversion is the icing on the cake for the Norsemen. They win their first Division VI state semifinal, 22-14.
We're just excited. We're you know, thrilled to go down there. We're going to give it our best shot again. We got one more. We know there's only one more now left, so we're going to give it everything we've got and see if we can take it home.
This is school history right here. It's been school history ever since second round of playoffs, but I mean, we've been waiting for this all year.
Suttons Bay now moves on to play Constantine in the Division VI state final Friday at 5 p.m. In Big Rapids, Erica Morehouse, 7 and 4 Sports.
This time next week, a champion will have been crowned in Division VI. The Suttons Bay Norsemen looking to earn a chance to play for that crown with a victory today. Good evening, I'm Aaron Mills. 7 years ago, the Suttons Bay Norsemen started a 3-6 season with 12, maybe 13 kids on their varsity roster. Today at Top Taggart Field in Big Rapids, 48 dressed for varsity as the Norsemen took on Reese in the state semifinals. Kyle Corson made big plays on defense all day long, a real big one here in the second, intercepting the Corbin Oldenburg pass. And here's the result from that. Elliot Gallagher from 4 yards out, and Suttons Bay's in the lead, 6-0. The Norsemen would reach the end zone again before the half. Matt Schluter to Jimmy Stewart, and the Bay going to be up 14-0 at the break. Reese could control the third period, though, starting with this 4th down pass by Corbin Oldenburg for a score, and we head to the 4th, tied at 14 apiece. And here's a first. Jonathan Webster, his first career touchdown, puts Suttons Bay up 20-14. That's going to be enough. Norsemen, they're going to the Dome, 22-14 winners over Reese.
That's amazing. I said I pinched myself still because I don't know if it's true or not. That it's hard to believe we've come this far this quick, and it's amazing. I attribute that to our coaches and our kids and our community right now. It's just wild.
Suttons Bay will face 12-1 Constantine for the D6 state title Friday at 5 o'clock. We'll have complete coverage from the Silverdome. Division 7 now.
Good evening, sports fans. The state semifinals in high school football today. Suttons Bay playing Reese, the Rockets. Our Erica Morehouse has more from Big Rapids.
head coach Joe Trudeau had two keys heading into today's Division VI state semifinal game. The first, stop the Reese running attack. The second, stop their sophomore quarterback. The Norsemen did both, and then some. Norse fans out in full force for their first trip to the state semis, and their team was playing like it had been there many times before. Kyle Corson picks off sophomore quarterback Corbin Oldenburg at their own 42-yard line, and just 5 plays later, they find pay dirt. Elliot Gallagher is in for the score, 6-0 Suttons Bay. Into the second quarter from midfield, the senior quarterback, Matt Schluter, he airs it out to Jimmy Stewart. Just about the 20-yard line, he is wide open. A 2-point conversion makes it 14-0. The Norse lead by 2 touches at the break. Into the second half, third quarter action, Reese Rockets, they fire up. Just down by a score, Jason Bierlein carries it 1 yard up the middle. We're tied at 14s. Into the fourth quarter, Schluter drops back for Jonathan Weber. The soft fingertip catch in the end zone. A 2-point conversion is the icing on the cake for the Norsemen. They win their first Division VI state semifinal, 22-14.
We're just excited. We're thrilled to go down there. We're going to give it our best shot again. We got one more. We know there's only one more now left, so we're going to give it everything we've got and see if we can take it home.
This is school history right here. It's been school history ever since second round of playoffs, but, I mean, we've been waiting for this all year.
Suttons Bay now moves on to play Constantine in the Division VI state final Friday at 5 p.m. In Big Rapids, Erica Morehouse, 7 and 4 Sports.
Up next, football fever in Suttons Bay, and the only cure, trip to the Silverdome. They have the backing of an entire community, and on Friday, they'll need it. For the first time in school history, the Suttons Bay Norsemen are playing for the Division VI State Football Championship.
Well, our sports department has covered the X's and O's since August. We haven't taken a look at the 12th man, the fans who have rooted these kids along every play of the way.
9 and 10's Dan Farkas shows us how they're getting ready for the biggest football game in Suttons Bay history.
Everybody is pumped up.
I guess it's just contagious.
The signs are everywhere. Football fever is spreading in Suttons Bay, even to the people who couldn't tell you the difference between a touchdown and a turnover.
I don't know anything about football. I'm going to the Silverdome in Pontiac to watch Suttons Bay beat Constantine.
Roseanne Kohler is from the class of '68. Those that played back when these hairstyles were cool still have hairs tingling right now.
I know where they're coming from because I'm not getting any sleep.
Organizing charter bus trips for the 4,000 people expected to head south for the game.
Every little community needs to have something like this happen to it.
Fan support aside, we aren't going to show you any highlights from a pep rally today, in part because one never took place. The players are very focused, happy to be heading to the Silverdome, but not content unless they add more hardware to the trophy case.
We want to win. We want to win big time. As the years gone on, you've seen these kids just bear down, get tougher, tougher.
The toughest part for the players and their fans, waiting for kickoff. Still 46 hours away.
It just gets to you. Even if you don't want to be a part of it, it gets to you.
In Suttons Bay.
We're ready to go.
Dan Farkas.
And we're going all the way.
9 and 10 News.
The Suttons Bay girls basketball team is also making history.
They made it to the regionals for the first time in 2 decades.
That's right. The Norsemen's team's Eric Westorp earned first team honors, rushing for 1,600 yards and 19 touchdowns. Charlevoix's Ben Bergman, first team wide receiver, catching 72 passes, scoring 8 touchdowns for the Raiders. On special teams, St. Francis Gladiator Hunter Nostrand took home first team honors as a punter. One other first teamer we did not have pictured there, Mile lineman Will Smith, Gladiators lineman Josh Beckwith getting a special mention, as well as McBain linebacker Chris Morrow. A number of honorable mentions, Brian Allen and Rugelio Ramirez from Ithaca, Inland Lakes Mark Hutchinson and Lorenzo Espinosa, Derek Harrison of Whittemore Prescott, Andrew Wing and Jeremiah Nemeth of Pine River get mentions, Chad Bigger of St. Francis, 2 Chris's from the Lake City Trojans, Sanford Meridian's John Bowen and Tyler Martin, Mile running back Clint Mitchell, Justin Wentworth of Clare, and Suttons Bay lineman Andrew Krantz. A few more linemen now. Ben Weber of Kingsley, Montebella's Chris Delamater, Justin Groner and Fred Selleck from Carson City. Coaches Joe Stone of Mile and Sean Balhorn of Montebella also receiving honorable mention this year. The Suttons Bay Norsemen are headed to the Division VI state finals on Friday. It's quite remarkable how far they've come since head coach Joe Trudeau showed up. 6 years ago. Prior to the 1998 season, the Norsemen only won 42% of their games, no conference titles or playoff appearances. But again, give Joe Trudeau and his coaching staff and those kids a ton of credit. Over the last 6 years, they've won 70% of their contests, including a Northwest Conference title and a 7-4 record in the postseason.
It's amazing. I mean, we've made the playoffs 5 years in a row and kind of stumbled every time. And we've talked about finally getting together and having a run at the playoffs here. And now that it's here, we're just kind of going with the flow.
And we'll hope that they go with the flow right through a state championship on Friday night at 5 o'clock. That is when kickoff is. Now, the Norsemen headed down to Pontiac tomorrow afternoon. Of course, we are headed there on Friday. We'll update you on their game with Constantine at 6 o'clock, and then a complete wrap-up on Sports Extra. Of course, a great thing.
Friday at the Silverdome, the Suttons Bay Norsemen will play Constantine on Friday at 5 p.m. for the D6 state title. Both schools are 12-1 on the year. The Falcons are in their second finals appearance in the last 3 years.
And pretty much their whole running game. It's hard with the wing tee because they've got fakes going all over the place and you can't see where the ball is. So everybody has to be very disciplined and do their job and stay home with their assignment. And then offensively, we want to be able to move the ball on the ground and get some first downs and keep the ball out of their hands.
Football, the Division VI state final is just about 24 hours away, and Suttons Bay is on their way. The Norse supporters flocked to Suttons Bay High School to see their team off this afternoon, and the guys are traveling in style. The Norsemen play a tough, run-oriented Constantine in their first state final in school history. And as you can imagine, the players have lots to be thankful for.
Thankful for a wonderful season. It's been a lot of fun. But one more thing, it'd just be nice to get a win Friday.
So just one area team left in the finals. The big game is tomorrow at 5 p.m. Suttons Bay and Constantine for the state title. Jason Geiser and Jerome Helminiak will both be roaming the sidelines at the Silverdome. We'll have a live report at 6 p.m. and a complete wrap-up at 11. And Bill will have more from Suttons Bay. We'll hear from head coach Joe Trudeau at 11.
10, and you know, for the Suttons Bay Norsemen, just one game remains this season, and it's a biggie as the Norse gets ready to battle Constantine tomorrow at 5 for the Division VI state title. So today, on Thanksgiving, the Bay and head coach Joe Trudeau working out at Central Michigan this evening, getting ready to play inside tomorrow. One game for all the marbles, and it's something many players on this team have been waiting for a long time.
I really never thought it would happen. It's always been a dream of our team. We've been talking about it since we were freshmen, but it's an opportunity that we got to take advantage of.
So the Norse are spending the night tonight in Midland, and now on the phone with us live from his hotel, not his hotel room because he just ran into the lobby, head coach Joe Trudeau. Good evening, Coach.
How are you doing, Vic?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for making it to the phone for us.
No
let me ask you this question right off the bat. Would you rather be in a hotel in Midland, eating food from room service and whatnot, or would you rather be home, you know, sitting on your couch after a Thanksgiving dinner?
Well, that's a tough question. We ate at the Soaring Eagle buffet, actually, so I actually got 2 Thanksgiving dinners out of the deal today, so I'm pretty happy with the food.
But it's definitely good to be still playing football at the moment, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We're excited, you know. It's a great opportunity for our kids and our coaches, too, and our whole town.
Do your kids understand what could happen tomorrow? And I'm not talking about just winning a football game, but what it could mean for the school and the community in a historical perspective?
Well, I don't know if they know. We're trying to, you know, play it down and treat it like just another football game. So not really talking about the stakes. I know they know. They know in the back of their mind. I'm sure they'll have some nerves tomorrow before the game, and they know what's at stake, and they're playing for their whole town and the whole North.
Now, yesterday I talked to former Glen Lake Laker head coach Bill Hollenbeck, who's won a state title at the Dome and has had yet another appearance at the Dome with his team. He says, first of all, it's going to be tough for you guys to hear on the field. Have you done anything to talk to them about how it will be to play in the Dome, what with the acoustics and everything?
It's hard to simulate that. It really is. When we went to the Superior Dome, we had a similar problem, though, with the crowd noise. We had a very difficult time calling audibles. As a matter of fact, on a 4th down, we our back didn't hear the audible, and we ended up turning over on downs because of that. So we'll make sure we take care of that. If we can't hear well, we'll be screaming real loud.
Now, yesterday I saw you out at practice at Suttons Bay, where you practiced at home for the last time this season, and I'm telling you, it was so unbelievably cold out there. How great was it to be able to practice indoors today?
It was great, I'll tell you. Yeah, we left and there was snow on the ground, and we got down here and there was more snow on the ground, so it was really nice. CMU's got a great facility.
This team of yours seems to be very loose at the moment. I saw them last week, I saw them this week at practice, and they seem like they're just having a good time, very loose. That's got to be a definite positive for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like I said, we try not to talk about what's at stake and try to keep them loose. And, you know, I've talked to them before. If you're all tight and nervous and, you know, uptight, you're not going to play your best game. So you have to be loose. And remember, it's a football game, and you're supposed to be out there having fun, and that's how you're going to play your best.
Two questions for you quickly. First of all, you guys have really kind of played off the radar during the playoffs. Not a lot of people expecting you to go this far. That's got to be a plus for you to go into this game. Maybe a lot of people not taking you seriously enough. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I like it when we're supposed to lose and the other team's supposed to win. It puts the pressure on them and takes it off of us. So.
Next question, do you have a prediction for tomorrow?
It's going to be a hard-fought game, and I know we're going to do everything we can in our power here to get a W.
Coach, I know you got a lot of things going on in your mind tonight, so I thank you very much for getting to the phone and talking to us tonight.
All right, no problem.
Have fun tomorrow. We'll see you on the highlights.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks. That's
Bye.
Joe Trudeau, Suttons Bay head coach, as they get ready to play for a state title tomorrow.
The state finals are just about 18 hours away. Suttons Bay will get their first ever crack at a state title. Earlier today, Norse supporters flocked to Suttons Bay High School to see off their team. The Norsemen play a tough, run-oriented Constantine team led by the Schrag twins. The terrible twosome has accounted for 49 Falcon touchdowns this season.
You know, key for us on defense again, it's stopped the fullback and the halfback, the two twin brothers that play for Constantine. And pretty much their whole running game. It's hard with the wing tee because they've got fakes going all over the place and you can't see where the ball is. So everybody has to be very disciplined and do their job.
Just making sure we check every back out of the backfield. We got to know where everyone is. Tackle everybody pretty much.
The Norse are lone Northern Michigan representative in the finals. The big game is tomorrow at 5 p.m. Suttons Bay Constantine for the Division VI title. Jason Geiser and Jerome Helminiak will both be on the sidelines at the Silverdome. We'll have live reports at 6 and a complete wrap-up at 11. And Bill, Coach Trudeau says that Constantine reminds him a lot of Kingsley, and they've beaten Kingsley twice this year, so hopefully that's a good sign.
Psychological preparation there. A lot of fan support today, as we showed earlier on the show, too, so should be exciting. Thanks a lot, Erica. We'll be
Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm Brian Lawson. The Division VI state championship game kicks off 17 hours and 33 minutes from now, and don't think the Suttons Bay Norsemen aren't already in countdown mode. The team left for Pontiac earlier this afternoon, ready for what lies ahead in their matchup with 12-1, the Constantine Falcons.
They're athletic at every position, which is something maybe we haven't seen yet this year. Their linemen are even fast and athletic. They're all around. They're just a solid football team with a lot of good players.
But still without a state championship, although the Falcons were runners-up in '94 and 2002. This is Suttons Bay's first ever trip to the Dome, and we are making the trip with them tomorrow. We'll be live at 6 o'clock with an update of the game, which will be in progress, and then a complete wrap-up for you tomorrow night on Sports Extra. Well, they both will.
Well, we'll see. A Northern Michigan football team earns a ride to the Silverdome after a season full of victory.
That's right. The Norsemen of Suttons Bay are on the field in Pontiac at the Silverdome as we speak, playing in their first ever state title game.
Hundreds of fans also made the trek downstate for a spot in the stands to support a team that's come so far. Right now, it's halftime at the Dome. The score is 14-13. Constantine. For more on the game day, we turn to sports teams standing by live at the Silverdome. Here's 7 Sports' Jerome Helminiak.
Thank you very much. Here at the Pontiac Silverdome, the Suttons Bay Norsemen taking on the Constantine Falcons in the Division VI Football State Finals. Both teams 12-1 on the year. Earlier, before the game, I had a chance to talk to Suttons Bay head coach Joe Trudeau and asked him if his team back in August looked like a state champion.
Well, you know, it's not realistic to expect to get here, but, you know, you always think that if things fall into place just right, you never know. We knew we had a good quality group of kids coming up. So I guess things fell into place.
Constantine, you want to give me a, I don't know, a little pregame or preview of them? What do you notice from film? I mean, you guys are both 12-12. That's all I know about them. That and they're down by Indiana.
Yeah, the biggest thing that sticks out on film is
how they execute offensively. They're going to be very difficult to stop. They run the tee, and their fakes are so good that you really never know where the ball is. So we really have to stay disciplined and play our assignments on defense.
We'll have more highlights from today's championship game and more coverage later on 7 and 4 News 11 at 11.
They're playing for their first ever state football championship. And right now, the Suttons Bay Norsemen are behind just before halftime. As you can imagine, the town of Suttons Bay is virtually a ghost town today. Many, many residents are at the game. 9 and 10's Kimberly Purdy went to Suttons Bay and spoke with those left behind.
Most of those shopping or eating in town today were from out of town, as many from Suttons Bay split town for the Dome.
It is a little quiet. The last few games towards the finals, there's been a lot of people that have left to go see them and support them.
But the town hasn't completely shut down.
You got to hold the fort down.
For those left behind this week, this is the place to come to.
Sal is the bar manager at the Village Inn, where he hopes the game airing on his TVs will pack the house.
We're hoping to be mobbed.
So with the Norsemen now playing, those still in Suttons Bay are rooting for the team just as much as those at the Dome.
It's a whole town event right now. They're looking forward to it, they're excited, and they need to bring home a title.
And Norseman spirit here is as widespread as Christmas spirit.
They're gonna take it, and even if they don't, everyone will be really proud of them.
Suttons Bay, bring it home.
Reporting in Suttons Bay, Kimberly Purdy, 9 and 10 News.
And now let's head down to the Pontiac Silverdome, where 9 and 10's Brian Lawson is live with Digital Skylink at the Suttons Bay State title game. Brian.
All right, thank you, Doug. Well, we got about 16 seconds left to go in the first half. Constantine has it on Suttons Bay's 13-yard line. The Norsemen trying to keep them out of the end zone. They trail right now 21-13. The Norsemen have gotten scores from Jimmy Stewart and Kyle Corson in this game. We'll have more on tonight's game for you coming up a little bit later on in sports. Live at the Pontiac Silverdome, where Suttons Bay and Constantine are locked in the most entertaining of the 3 games today. We'll get you an update coming up next in sports.
Michigan looks for champions. It looks to 9 and 10. Northern Michigan sports leader.
The season of first continues for Suttons Bay, standing alone as the only Northern Michigan team with a shot at a state football title. Good evening, I'm Aaron Mills. Their first ever district title was nice. The regional crown, even better. Now the Norsemen are trying for a first ever state title. Brian Lawson, in the mix of it down at the Pontiac Silverdome, joins us live with more on the Norse. Brian?
Well, thank you, Aaron. 21-13, that is our score at halftime. The Constantine Falcons on top with a lot of football yet to be played. Now, we can't bring you highlights because the broadcast rights of the high school football state finals belong to Fox Sports. We will have them for you tonight at 11. To be quite honest with you, I'm not sure who would see them in Suttons Bay. It seems as though the entire town is right here at the Silverdome. You guys aren't excited at all about this game, are you?
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Where'd you get the hat?
Florida.
They sell Suttons Bay hats in Florida?
Oh, to have a small school like us come down and have a chance to win the state championship is awesome. You know, let people know that Suttons Bay has a good program.
So first, we're going to start off, and we're going to do really awesome. And then we're going to win, so that's all there is to it. We're just going to blow them out of the water. Suttons Bay, are you behind me? Say scream, yeah! Let's go Red! Let's go Red! Let's go Red! Let's go!
Well, there's still a lot for these Suttons Bay fans to be excited about. A back-and-forth game in the first half. Suttons Bay got on the board. Matt Schluter, a 56-yard pass to J.C. Guillen. Then they handed off to Jimmy Stewart, 21-yard touchdown to tie the game at 7. Then in the second quarter, it was Schluter to Kyle Corson, 72 yards for the touchdown pass. And now we are 21-13, just about ready to head into the third quarter of play. And we'll have a complete wrap-up of this game coming up for you tonight on Sports Extra. Live with Digital Skylink from the Pontiac Silverdome, I'm Brian Lawson for 9 and 10 Sports.
Plus, there was no limit to how many Suttons Bay residents could clear out and pile into the Pontiac Silverdome. A look at the football fever that left the town just about empty. Still ahead. A Northern Michigan town full of football pride was practically empty today. With its high school football team away at a championship game downstate, Suttons Bay pretty much turned into a ghost town. The Norseman spirit in Suttons Bay is as widespread as the Christmas spirit. Many residents left town and headed to the Pontiac Silverdome to watch their boys play Constantine. It was the Norsemen's first ever shot at a football state title. There were a few people left holding down the fort. They caught the game on TV.
Well, this year, Suttons Bay had never even made it out of the district finals, but today, as you said, they found themselves just one win away from that first ever state title. Brian Lawson going to bring us highlights and reaction from the Bay's historic day at the Silverdome for us tonight on Sports Extra.
Kind of a line.
Sports leader.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm Aaron Mills. Suttons Bay has played 325 football games dating back to 1968, but not once in those 37 years had the Norsemen played a game as important as the one they had today in Pontiac. Brian Lawson takes us through the Bay's bid for a Division VI state title.
The Pontiac Silverdome was seeing an awful lot of red in the Division VI state finals, but the similarities between Suttons Bay and Constantine don't stop with the uniform colors. Both entered tonight's game with 12-1 records, and both entered the game looking for their very first high school football state championship. Constantine would strike first. Aaron Baker to Brad Smagala in the first to make it 7-0. But Suttons Bay comes up with a big play on the next play from scrimmage. Matt Schluter to J.C. Guillen, 56 yards before he's dragged down, and that would set up Jimmy Stewart to star in It's a Wonderful Touchdown directed by Joe Trudeau, tying the game at 7. Norsemen back on the comeback trail in the second, and Kyle Corson running every yard of it. 72 yards for the touchdown. Suttons Bay would trail 14-13 after the missed extra point. Next two touchdowns go to the Falcons, though. Down 28-13, Suttons Bay in need of a big play. Enter the playmaker. Kyle Corson, the interception takes it out of sight into the Falcons' 33, and it's time for the halfback option. Andrew Bumgardner, a beautiful pass, just a little short, and Constantine was on its way to a state title. The Norsemen finished runner-up 34-13 to Constantine.
Told them, you know, they kind of led the way now for hopefully for future teams. They were the first one to kind of break through in the playoffs, and you know, in a few days and weeks, we're going to look back and be pretty darn proud of what they accomplished.
Indeed, the bar is set pretty high for Suttons Bay High School football now, and while this season may not have ended the way they would have liked, you couldn't tell by their fans who really couldn't have been prouder.
Starting with the program, where the program has been and where the program has come, getting all the way to here, you know, maybe the score didn't come out the way we wanted it, but they played a heck of a great game against a really good team. And again, really proud of how they did that.
And Suttons Bay High School will take some time to celebrate this 12-2 season coming up on Sunday at 7 o'clock at the high school auditorium. That's all from the Pontiac Silverdome. I'm Brian Lawson for 9 and 10 Sports.
Frenzy grand finale, and we're live with Suttons Bay at the Silverdome.
Coming up in sports, the Suttons Bay Norsemen go for their first ever state football title. That and much more next in sports.
It's over. Week 14 of the high school football season is upon us, and Suttons Bay is playing for their first ever state championship down at the Silverdome. Our Jerome Helminiak is at the Dome and joins us live. Jerome, how are the Norse doing down there?
Thank you very much, Erica. Yeah, the Norsemen, they got off to a little sluggish start, and Constantine put one on the board early, but on their second possession, Suttons Bay came back and scored, and it's at halftime right now. If we want to roll those highlights, it's at halftime right now, 21-13. Constantine has the lead. We pick it up in the first half. Plenty of red. Both schools' colors are red and white, and Matt Schluter, the fine senior quarterback for Suttons Bay, dropped back to pass and got sacked by the other number 4, Sean Wolf. And then Constantine took over and went down and scored right away. Number 1 scoring there is Brad Smagala scoring that touchdown. That made it 7-zip. But Suttons Bay, now we followed them all year long, and they're 12-1, and they run the ball constantly. They got a trio of fine running backs, but today in the Dome under the perfect conditions, they aired it out. Schluter hits J.C. Guillen, and number 2, Juten and darting all over the field. Got it down inside the 10 there, and then they took it over and passed it to Jimmy Stewart, and he scored to get Suttons Bay on the scoreboard. But then Constantine scored twice, and then on a long one, I mean a long play, we don't have highlights of that one, Schluter dropped back and hit Kyle Corson for the score. So as of right now, it is 21-13 at halftime, and I'm looking at the scoreboard. We got 30 seconds left before the start of the third quarter, but at halftime it is 21-13. Constantine, again, this is the Division VI state final. So 24 more minutes before a state championship goes to someone, and we will have all the highlights at 11 o'clock, and hopefully Suttons Bay can pull it out. Their defense a little bit shaky. The Falcons have gone over 300 yards in total offense, but Schluter, like I said earlier, Suttons Bay normally running the ball all the time, but today he's got over 150 yards in passing. But start of the third quarter just upon us. Now back to you, Erica. Take it away.
Thanks a lot, Jerome. Good work. We'll look forward to your highlights at 11 o'clock. A couple of the earlier games.
This is a great accomplishment. I mean, I wish it would have turned out differently, but it was a great ride down to make it this far, so I'm happy with our season.
The Suttons Bay High School football team experienced a first today, a trip to the state finals. Good evening, I'm Diana Fairbanks. Just 5 years ago, the Norsemen were struggling to win more than 2 games in a season. They've come a long way since then, making the playoffs each year since. And tonight, they took on Constantine in the Division 6 state title game. Erica Morehouse joins us now with more. Erica?
Diana, the road to the Dome has been sweet for the Norse. They headed into today's game at 12-1. Same goes for the Falcons of Constantine. Both schools looking for their first ever state title. We start things off with first half action. Falcons already up 7-0, and Matt Schluter here fakes us out, then connects 17 yards to Jimmy Stewart. Stewart is in for the score, 7-7. But Constantine just too much on the ground tonight. Here, Aaron Baker sneaks it in just about a yard, 14-7 Falcons, and Suttons Bay would never recover. They fall 34-13. The Falcons are the Division 6 state champs. So the Norse are heading home. They finished a spectacular season at 12-2. Diana? Diana?
Thanks, Erica. Well, even though the Norsemen didn't bring home the state title, they did have a fantastic season, and they have some fantastic fans. In fact, so many people were at the game, the town of Suttons Bay seemed pretty empty, for the few who didn't make the trip to the Silver Dome. 7 and 4's Sarah Brockdorf went to Suttons Bay this evening. She joins us live in our Traverse City newsroom with more on what she found. Sarah?
Diana, people from all around Leelanau County and beyond were planning to head down to the big game. This was the scene at Suttons Bay schools today. No cars in the parking lot, no students on the swings, not even one staff member to pick up the newspaper.
This town is deserted. There is no one left.
It's pretty quiet. I was up there this morning. I actually found a parking spot.
No, the students and townspeople are not all at their relatives for the holiday weekend. They're downstate, cheering on a football team that went all the way to the state finals.
You know, there's a few locals left in town, but basically everyone has left town to support the team.
That's pretty slow. Half the town's down there.
Hanson Foods saw a rush earlier today when everyone was packing up to head down, but business slowed after that.
We have a skeleton staff, I mean, you know, because a lot of the employees have left to see the game. So, yeah, it's a pretty quiet community right now.
Anderson says many of those who didn't go to the game watched it on TV.
All right, go, guys!
Brenda Harrelson works at Suttons Bay High School, and she says it's been one wild week.
It was very busy. Telephone was ringing off the hook. The kids were in a very festive mood. A lot of red and white.
Very well in open field.
It's exciting for Suttons Bay. It's not too often we get to go to the finals, and so it's exciting to watch them on TV and see them play.
Harrelson's daughter Sarah and Sarah's friend Jessica went to the state volleyball finals when they were students at Suttons Bay High School. Jessica says no matter what the outcome of the game is, it's an experience the players and the tight-knit community will never forget. Reporting live in the Traverse City newsroom, Sarah Brockdorf, 7 and 4 News.
Thanks, Sarah. Coming up later in our show, we'll hear from the Norsemen and have highlights of today's final.
Suttons Bay's magical title run came to a screeching halt tonight. The Norse ran into trouble with the Constantine Falcons. Actually, the run was the trouble. Jason Geiser continues our sports team coverage.
After making their first trip to the postseason in the year 2000, Suttons Bay hasn't missed the playoffs since. But in those 5 years, they had never gotten past the second round. Today, they come to the state finals at the Pontiac Silverdome, hoping to wrap up their mission in their first try. First quarter, the Norsemen find themselves in a 7-0 hole when the big play offense comes to life. Matt Schluter to J.C. Guillen. A pickup of 56 yards takes Suttons Bay down to the Constantine 17. This sets up a Schluter to Jimmy Stewart touchdown and a 7-7 tie. Second quarter, down 14-7, Schluter to Kyle Corson, 2 of 6 players on Suttons Bay's team that go to Lake Leelanau St. Mary. This is a 72-yard touchdown hookup The extra point's no good. Suttons Bay trails 14-13 in the second. Schluter, he goes for 153 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. However, Constantine would have the halftime lead thanks to Jim Schrag. He rushes for 172 yards in this touchdown in the first half. 21-13 Falcons at the half. To the third quarter, Aaron Baker with another Constantine score, his second of the day. 28-13 Falcons after their first drive and after the third quarter. In the fourth, Suttons Bay doing it on defense. Corson intercepting Baker, and he's off and running 59 yards down to the Constantine 33 as he disappears behind the Suttons Bay bench. However, on the first play from scrimmage, the Norse turn it over. A toss back pass, getting tricky. However, Mike Schrag is there, one of 2 interceptions for him. He also rushes for 134 yards. And that's really the last time the Norse threaten. Constantine holds them to 164 yards of total offense, including just 11 rushing. Meanwhile, Jim Schrag sets an all-class state title game record, going for 307 yards himself. The Bay settles for a state runner-up trophy, 34-13.
They've kind of paved the way now, you know, and they've got a lot to be proud of, even though they're hurting right now. But they've paved the way for future teams to do the same, and we know that we can get there now.
It's been a really fun ride, and I couldn't ask for better guys to play with. I mean, these guys are all my best friends, and I wish it could have turned out different.
I thought it gave us an edge because we've been here before and we know what the atmosphere was like and how loud it was. And
so the Norsemen's first ever trip to the state finals ends with a defeat at the hands of Constantine. Instead, it's the Falcons taking home their first ever state championship. The Norse end their season 12-2. At the Silverdome, Jason Geiser, 7-4 Sports.
Thanks, Jason, and what a great...
Suttons Bay community cheered the Norsemen on to a state runner-up finish, and today gathered one last time to honor the Bay's historic season. Good evening, I'm Aaron Mills. The season might not have ended the way the Norsemen would have liked, but still, state runner-up and the only team from northern Michigan to make it to the Silverdome gave the Suttons Bay community plenty of reason to be proud. Tonight at the Suttons Bay Auditorium, hundreds of family, friends, and fans of the Norse got together to celebrate the Bay's 12-2 season. Not only was this year the first time Suttons Bay had ever made it to the finals, but as a co-op squad with Lake Leelanau St. Mary, was the first ever team made up of 2 schools to make it to the Dome in state history.
We get them together all summer long and start the team building stuff all summer long, you know, starting in June. So that by the time we get to August, they're already comfortable with each other and used to each other. And
in Northern Michigan football, and tonight, Suttons Bay football fans welcomed home their state runners-up. The community takes one more chance to celebrate their Norsemen, holding a celebration at the high school. These kids put together the best season in school history this year, going 12-2 and finishing just 1 win short of the state title. They fall to a record-breaking Constantine rushing attack Friday at the Silverdome, but tonight, the Suttons Bay faithful make them feel like champions.
Yeah, I've never seen a community be so into football. I mean, we had 2,000 people in our semifinal game, and we had an amazing amount of people. I mean, the entire Silverdome was nearly filled with people.
To have them come here today to show their support for us, it's just incredible to have this many people here and showing how much they think we did for them when really they're out here doing that back for us.